All right, welcome back to the deep dive.
Okay.
Today we're going deep, really deep into a specific historical story, and it's actually from this fascinating narrative piece called Haywang.pdf.
Yeah, so not just like, broad strokes history, but really zeroing in and seeing like a pivotal moment play out kind of through the eyes of an ordinary person.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the story of a gatekeeper in Guangzhou named Black King, or Ane.
Yeah.
And maybe you're thinking like, okay, a gatekeeper, what could that possibly tell us about like the workings of imperial power? But this story, man, this story is full of these really crazy insights and twists and turns and everything.
It's yeah, a lot more than meets the eye, that's for sure.
We're talking about late 18th, early 19th century China during the reign of the Qianlong Emperor.
Right.
And this is a time when, the Grand Counselor Hessian was really calling a lot of the shots.
Right.
He was a figure who's known for his wealth and, well, let's just say his corruption.
So what we're really trying to do with this deep dive is to understand this whole crazy dance of power, like how corruption really seeped into everything. Right?
Yeah.
And also these totally random twists of fate that can just change everything. And we're going to see all of this through this seemingly really straightforward story of a gatekeeper and a really, really risky birthday present.
It's the kind of story that really just makes you think.
Okay, so who is this Black King guy?
Yeah.
Everything we know says he was from Henan and a totally trustworthy, loyal dude. Like, he was known for being honest, reliable, like rock solid.
Yeah, just a salt of the earth kind of guy.
So reliable that the Guangzhou Customs Superintendent, or the Gohi, which is the top official there, like, totally trusted him.
And this was not just some, backwater posting either.
Yeah.
Being the Guangzhou Customs Superintendent, I mean, that was a serious position of power.
Huge.
And it came with a lot of perks, but also, as we'll see, a lot of pressure and a lot of dangers.
Totally. So to stay in that position, right, and enjoy all those perks that came with it,
Yeah.
this superintendent had to play this whole imperial politics game. And in the late 18th century, the #1 rule of that game was keep the guys at the top happy.
Right.
And nobody was more important to keep happy than Hessian, right? The Grand Counselor, his birthday was coming up in the 12th lunar month. So obviously the superintendent was getting ready to send like a really, really nice gift.
And this wasn't just like, sending a birthday card or a fruit basket. This was how you did business, right? This was how you showed your loyalty, gifts and favors. That was how influence flowed in this system. The superintendent, he needed Hessian on his side, saying good things to the emperor to make sure he kept his job.
Exactly.
So this was an investment.
Total.
This was the way things worked.
So the superintendent, he's getting this super lavish birthday gift together.
Yeah.
We're talking like something really, really valuable. But then he's got a problem, right?
Yeah.
He's got this really important question.
Who do you trust?
Yeah, who can you trust to take this incredibly valuable and politically sensitive present all the way to Beijing
Exactly
and
right.
deliver it to Hessian?
It's a big ask.
So he looks around, he thinks about all his options, and he lands on our guy,
Yeah.
Black King.
Black King steps up.
The gatekeeper. Why?
Because his reputation, right, he's got this reputation for being just absolutely rock solid, dependable, trustworthy.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
And the fact that they would even consider a gatekeeper for this says a lot about his character.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about something that could make or break your career, your life even.
Totally.
And you're entrusting it to a commoner, a gatekeeper.
Right, and so the superintendent sends him off
Yeah.
on this super long journey to Beijing with this gift. And he's probably thinking, okay, Hessian's going to love this. He's going to put in a good word for me with the emperor. I'm set. My future secure.
Right. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Okay, so time passes. The new year comes and goes. Everybody's celebrating. And then, boom, this news hits Guangzhou like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
It's shocking. The Qianlong emperor is dead.
Big news.
Huge news. But it gets even crazier. Hessian, the guy who was basically running the show, he's arrested.
Yeah.
And then they start talking about how much money he has.
Oh, yeah.
And it's insane. 1.2 billion taels of silver.
That is an almost unimaginable sum of money.
Unbelievable.
And that's a serious chunk of silver. We're not talking about small change here.
Yeah.
That's how corrupt this guy was.
So imagine the superintendent hearing this news, right?
Oh, I can't even imagine.
He's probably freaking out.
Total panic.
Because suddenly this connection to Hessian
that
he'd been so carefully building now looks like a really, really bad idea.
Yeah, it's like the ground has shifted beneath his feet.
Completely.
The guy he was trying so hard to please is now the kiss of death.
Yeah. And he's probably thinking they're going to come take everything he owns, maybe even worse.
Yeah, I mean, you could be looking at execution for being associated with someone like that.
So he goes to his wife, right? And they're both like totally beside themselves.
Yeah.
They're devastated, full of regret. And it's like they're just realizing how stupid they were to get mixed up with someone as corrupt as Hessian.
Well, you know, hindsight is always 20/20, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to see things clearly when it all comes crashing down.
But they're acknowledging that Hessian was bad news. You know, they knew it.
Right.
They just let their own ambition blind them. It's like they were so focused on getting ahead that they ignored all the warning signs.
It's a classic tale, really.
Yeah, so while all this is going down in Guangzhou, Black King is out there.
Yeah.
Making his way to Beijing, totally oblivious.
Poor guy. He has no idea.
No idea what's waiting for him. And then to make things even worse, he gets really, really sick.
Yeah.
Like bedridden for over 10 days, kind of sick.
So now he's behind schedule.
Way behind schedule.
It's not good.
Seems like the worst possible timing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
Who knows? Maybe it was a blessing in disguise.
So anyway, by the time Black King recovers enough to travel again, he knows he's missed Hessian's birthday.
Yeah. So now what?
He's got to be thinking, how am I going to explain this to the superintendent?
Right.
But he decides, you know what? A late gift is better than no gift at all. So he keeps going, still totally unaware of what's happened in Beijing.
Right. He's walking into a completely different world.
When he gets to Beijing, it's chaos.
Yeah. The city's in an uproar.
The emperor's dead. The new emperor, Ji King, he's already taking Hessian down. And anybody who's connected to Hessian is in big trouble.
Especially if you just gave him a giant birthday present.
Exactly. And that's when Black King realizes
Oh, boy.
that him getting sick, that delay, might have just saved the superintendent.
Yeah.
Because if he'd shown up on time with that gift, that would have been it.
That would have been the evidence.
Yeah.
Right there in black and white.
Yeah, game over.
They would have known the superintendent was in Hessian's pocket. And who knows what they would have done to him.
So Black King, you got to give him credit. He thinks fast.
Yeah.
He immediately writes a letter to the superintendent saying, hey, I got sick. I couldn't deliver the gift.
Don't worry about anything you hear.
Yeah, don't panic.
Just stay calm.
And that letter arrives in Guangzhou.
I can just imagine the superintendent and his wife just on edge, waiting for news every day, just filled with dread.
Yeah.
And then that letter arrives.
That's like a miracle.
Relief. Just pure relief.
He must have been so happy.
Oh, yeah. I bet they were celebrating like they'd won the lottery.
Yeah, so eventually Black King makes it back to Guangzhou.
Still with the gifts, right?
Yeah, still carrying those gifts. And when the superintendent sees him, he's beyond grateful.
Of course.
He tells him straight up, you saved my life, you saved my family.
Yeah.
And he swears. He's like, I'm done with corrupt officials.
He's seen the light, right?
Yeah, he's had a major wake-up call.
Almost lost everything.
And he insists that Black King take the gifts as a reward.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah. He's like, you deserve this.
Yeah, Black King probably saved his life without even realizing it.
So Black King, being the stand-up guy he is, he accepts the gifts.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really interesting because now those gifts are a lot less dangerous, right? Hessian's gone. Nobody cares about those gifts anymore. So Black King sells them.
Smart move.
And he makes a fortune.
Yeah, we're talking tens of thousands of taels of silver.
Life-changing money. And what does he do with it?
What does he do?
He goes home to take care of his mom.
Ah, that's nice.
That's Black King for you.
Good guy.
He says goodbye to the superintendent, to his friends at the customs office, and off he goes back to Heenan, a wealthy man.
It's a great ending for Black King.
It really is. So we started this deep dive wondering what a gatekeeper could tell us about imperial power.
Yeah.
And what we found is this whole story about a birthday gift shows us just how dangerous and corrupt things were.
Yeah, just how precarious it was to be involved with the imperial court.
We saw how pure luck, or maybe fate, in the form of Black King's illness, completely changed the course of events.
A random illness saved the day.
And how Black King's loyalty, even though he didn't know it at the time, saved the superintendent and his family.
It's a story about how these seemingly small actions, just one guy getting sick, can have these huge ripple effects.
And then there's Hessian, right?
No.
1.2 billion taels of silver.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
The scale of his corruption is just Mind-boggling.
And the superintendent going from being terrified to totally changing his tune.
He had a real come-to-Jesus moment.